Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Green Line Breakdown, Episode 2, Week 1 in the books. I wish there weren't any books. If we could just forget about this entire week, that would make me happy. I think that would make all of you guys happy. Well, it happened. We got to talk about it. Let's get into it. What happened this week? 3 games to start off the season, 3 tough games. Obviously, game 1 against Philly. Philly's got a good young team. They just got a new rookie in the top 3. You got New York. New York, obviously, Eastern Conference Finals last year against the Pacers. They're a good team. They're a good all-around team. New coach. Hell of a coach. And then you had Detroit. I'm recording this on Sunday. Ended not too long ago. And what is the big topic of the week? What, in one word, could I describe this entire week? Disappointing. No question, this week was disappointing. 0-3 to start the season is never fun. I talked about it a little bit last week. This entire rest of the month, the remaining month of October, and probably a little into the month of November, was going to be like preseason extended. We were going to get a view of what the best lineups for this team may be, who the starting lineup could possibly be, maybe see some of these rookies take a step, or some of these fresher faces on the team, I should say. So we knew it was going to be tough. I knew it was going to be tough. And even with all of those in mind, it still just was a disappointing week because all the reports out of training camp, or preseason I should say, was that these are the toughest practices Jaylen Brown had been through, Joe Mazzulla had seen from his team, Peyton Pritchard said it was the toughest practices. We were going to be a really tough team this year. Maybe the shots weren't going to be dropping, but, you know, we were going to be a tough, scrappy team to play. And the energy just wasn't there this week. We had really good quarters, followed by really bad quarters in all 3 games. I mean, let's start with Philadelphia, right? Joel Embiid not even exists anymore on that team. That team is headlined by their 2 guards, Maxey and the rookie, VJ Edgecombe, and they were just lighting the entire Celtics starting lineup, the bench, from the beginning to the end of that game. They were lighting us up. And first game, everybody's got to take a couple steps to get back into the season. Preseason doesn't really wake you up, and you get into this first game and think, okay, here we go. This is the warm-up. We got to lock in. And they kept it close, but if you watch the game, I think you'll know what I mean when I say the feeling is just not there. There's no hustle, just really gross plays, really couple drop passes, a couple throws in, a couple throwaways. Jaylen Brown fumbling the ball everywhere. These are football terms, but somehow they described our team perfectly. These guys can't hold on to the rock. They just don't want to keep it in our hands before we get a good shot up. And the shooting wasn't there either. The entire week, we're shooting a little above 30%. One thing I saw is we're getting in open space. So one of the big things in the Mazzulla offense is getting in good position to take a shot. And that was still there. And even when they had good position and good shot selection, the ball was just not dropping in the hoop. Maybe it really just wasn't our week, and we got to clean it up from here. But that Philadelphia game shouldn't have been, 1, a loss, 2, as close as it was towards the end. You can't be up by 10 points going into the fourth quarter or 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter and just swallow a rock and it disappears within 2 or 3 minutes. We can't have that. We can't be reverting back to pre-championship tendencies. That was a horrible thing to watch. I went through 3 years of that from like 21 to 23, where whether it was the third quarter, the fourth quarter, and we got a huge lead, 10, 15-point lead, and all of a sudden it's shot by the other team. We lose the ball. Shot by the other team. We lose the ball. We turn it over. Shot by the other team, and all of a sudden they're within 2 as the clock's ticking out, and they make the right shots at the end and we don't. And it was just not something fun to watch. Moving on to the New York game, that it was just even worse. And you know what? New York's a better team than Philadelphia is. So I thought we were going to get handily whooped. But there was something there. There was a little ounce of magic mixing. I really thought we were turning it up a notch, and then halftime came and crash and burn. And even in the end, we were still only away by like 10 points, but disparity always stayed between 10 to 20 points. When a team's got a 10 to 20 point lead on you from the second quarter into the fourth, you can try and make a comeback, and I would never say give up, especially for this team. If their mentality is they're going to be a scrappy team, they have to make that comeback. You have to chip away point by point, get turnovers, steal the ball, do what you got to do. And you just didn't have that in the New York game. I love Cat, and by that I mean I hate Cat. God, every time you touch the guy, he's just flopping backwards and he's crying about it to the ref, immediately turns around and he's wiping his tears. As big as the guy is and as dominant of a play style that he has, he does kind of affect the perimeter. When he gets out there, he can make those shots, but he's also pretty tough in the paint. But he has false toughness to then lead a call. Right, so he's putting his shoulder down, but he gets tapped and he goes the other way. Or he's trying to do, a pick and roll, gets bumped, and he's just going backwards. And I hate Embiid, but that is something Embiid never really did. If Embiid was going up for a ball, whether it's, he's just going off the backboard or he's going up for a dunk or whatever it may be, he was kind of following through. And he would get fouled. He would just get fouled because he's such a big guy. And Cat's similar size, maybe less weight, but definitely similar wingspan and kind of presence in the paint. And man, he is glass. He's such a baby. I hate Cat so much, which is such a terrible thing because I like the other players on this team. I like Jalen Brunson. I hate to see him score like he does on us, but he is an ethical player. I enjoy watching him play. Miles Bridges. I like watching him play. There's so many guys on the New York team, and I liked Randall and I liked DiVincenzo, so when they traded him to get Cat, I just don't think Cat fits in with the mentality that originally Thibodeau had going, and now Coach Brown has going with them. It's hard to watch for 4 quarters, and he's still dominant, but God, a guy that big shouldn't be playing the way he plays, where he's looking for the call. God, you want to be Peyton Pritchard size, or you want to be someone, a little more disadvantaged on that court and play like he does. I'm still not going to like you, but I kind of get it. When the refs are giving it to a guy who's 6'10", I don't even know how big he is, but, he's gargantuan, and he's getting calls because, come on. Ridiculous. Not even against us. The rest of the season, I don't want to see that in games the Knicks play. The refs need to hold their whistle and just let him go into the paint like a normal player and not give him all the calls in the world. Right now, SGA has that same problem. At least he's a little smaller, so when he gets whacked, the reaction is, a little more believable, I should say. When a guy with Cat size is doing that garbage, you gotta give up your tough mentality, tough status. And I don't think anybody in the NBA falls for it anyway, players and media included, but it's just a horrible thing to watch. And for a team to kick our ass and to watch that crybaby bitch get 30 on you, disgusting. Hate it. And like I said, the disparity was too big the entire game, 10 to 15 points, constantly trying to catch up to them and just never getting there. It's a debilitating thing, and I think that especially is going to kind of hurt us for a little while. And then we have today with Detroit. You start off really well. You have a great first quarter, followed by just an abysmal, terrible second. We can't be following up games like that. Philly, good team. New York, good team. Great team at the moment. Detroit, I kind of feel like Detroit is similar to where we are, even with our losses. They're probably on par with us. To give up what we gave up in that second quarter, and then follow it into the third, and just playing catch up, looking like you have no energy, just fluffing around on the court. It's so hard to watch. And I even have high hopes. I really thought that I was setting my mental state in the right zone to say, don't expect much out of this team. And somehow they still came in low. And I think the biggest thing is it just seems like they have no energy out there. My number one complaint is Jaylen Brown. And I said to you guys last week, I said, don't pressure this guy. He's done enough for us in the city. He had a terrible week. He had 25 points against the Sixers that first opening night, and it didn't even feel like he was involved. He needs to have more of a defensive presence for sure, and not to mention be more involved on the offensive side. But he's patty caking around out there. It's hard to watch. I'm not even looking for you to be a dominant player to say, you need to be the number one guy every night. I don't expect that out of you. I never thought you were that caliber, and I'm not looking for you to prove me wrong. If you do, great, but I don't think you need to do that for me to say you're again, top 25 player in the NBA, which I do think you are right now. But I need more energy out of you. I need more calamity on the court caused by you. Because right now, it seems that you are just not involved. You got 25 points that first night, and it was like, where is Jaylen Brown? And I'm not all for this, oh, it was a quiet 25. He's so good you don't even realize it. No, it's not like that. He threw up shots until he got to 25. It was a hard watch to get to 25 points. And he didn't really make up for it in New York. It's hamstring issues or whatever it may be, but you got to figure that out and deal with it. And you played great today, and you got 41 points against Detroit. That's more I can ask you. If you're scoring 41 points, we should be winning the game. But the rest of the starters scored 40 altogether. Pretty hard watch. Like I said, those first two games, I'm kind of putting them on you because we were close enough, especially Philadelphia. And you kind of answered today with 41. And it's really, really stupid for me to come in here and say, yeah, you only got 41 points and we didn't get it done. There's things other than point scoring. There's a presence on defense that is affecting the rest of the game. And it just seems quiet from you on that side. And I think I need a little more out of him. I need that energy he had in the finals going against Luka and shutting him down. I need that. I think that's more important. And you guys let me know, but I think that is going to be the important part that gets the rest of this team going when he's kind of the leader on the defensive side and really shutting everybody out. You know, Derek White, not anything out of him. Pritchard couldn't get going today. He was on kind of a bad streak. Finally got some shots up. You got the starting lineup of Pritchard, Derek White, Jaylen Brown. I think Gonzalez, the rookie, was the power, the forward today, and then you got Teoh. And that's the lineup we're looking at. And I kind of think that's going to be the lineup, unless Pritchard switches for Anthony Simons. But if he doesn't, I definitely see it being those five guys. And not saying they couldn't be something, because I think Teoh is stepping up the way he has to. He had a great game against Philadelphia. I mean, his final 10 minutes against Philly were fantastic. That game was lost because of maybe coaching, but maybe the final shot. I don't know what the decision came down there. Pritchard driving in, not getting anything off, them getting a second chance and just having terrible shot. Jaylen Brown had a terrible shot. And I almost don't want him taking the final shot, but that's kind of a different discussion. But Teoh had a great final 10 minutes of that game, and wishy-washy the rest of the week. Consistency is key. You need to be consistent. Jaylen Brown needs to be consistent, starting the defensive hold. I think Pritchard needs to get his shooting back on. Derek White, I love you, but I need more out of you. If we're going to win, if we have to win games through, I think, Brown, Derek White, and somebody else. When I say somebody else, I mean it can be anybody else. That third person stepping up night in and night out. Could be Pritchard, could be Teoh maybe, could it be Simon? But I think to be effective and to win games in these next few months, it's going to take Brown and Derek White having good nights. I need you to be a little more dominant. I need you to be a little more intimidating the other team. Right now we're in a hole. We're 0-3 and nobody's coming into the Garden thinking we got to watch out extra hard for these guys. No, they think they can beat you right now. I had a buddy of mine think we're going to go 0-7. I thought we were going to beat Detroit. Now that we didn't beat Detroit, it is very likely we could go 0-7 tomorrow or today, depending on when you're watching this episode. I film on Sundays, so it comes out on Monday. You got the Pelicans. Zion's playing pretty good. You guys shut down the Pelicans. Pelicans suck. Zion does nothing for me. I don't care if he's skinny for the third year in a row. You got to shut down the Pelicans. You are a better organization. You're a better team. You have a better coach. You probably get better players when all is said and done. They got Zion, but when you look at the rest of that team, I know they got some pickups, but I'm not concerned with them. You are a better team. You have to beat the Pelicans. If you go 0-4 and you're going into Cleveland on Wednesday, which I will be in attendance for, don't lose a game I go to. You better not. If you go 0-5 and get worked by Cleveland, I see this team tanking. And I don't want to sit here every week in and week out and say all we're doing is tanking. Because I think we can scratch playoffs. And if we can scratch playoffs, we don't know how the rest of the season is going to turn out. Basketball is pretty unpredictable. NFL, you can kind of get a good idea within the first 2 months. that's a playoff team, that's a playoff team. You know what I'm saying? And the cream of the crop tends to be a little higher than the rest of the teams. The Pacers were the 6th seed, I think. Maybe 5th. I think Milwaukee was 5. Pacers were 6. Went all the way to the finals and were 1 game away from winning the finals. And if Tyrese Halliburton didn't get hurt, I'm pretty sure they would have won. So all this nonsense of we shouldn't be wasting our time just to get in as a 7 or 8 seed. What if Tatum comes back? And then you have Tatum, Brown, Derek White. 3 guys who are a solid foundation. Pritchard could be playing lights out by that time. Teoh, our rookie, Gonzalez, Hugo, I think. I would call him Hugo. Not pronounced like that. He's Spanish. It's Hugo or something. I don't fucking know. You never know what can happen. Brad might just trade for a guy. This team could be completely altered towards the end of the season. You really do need to scrape out a couple of wins. You can't get in a hole of like 0-10, 0-15, 0-20. That's what happened with the Sixers last year. And admittedly, they all were hurt in the beginning. But by the end of the season, they weren't like terrible. I mean, they're not that different than they were 2 nights ago from the end of the season. They got a great rookie who scored over 30 points because we couldn't defend anything. But you don't know how this season's going to turn out. You gotta play tight. You gotta play consistent. You gotta step up where you need to step up. Starting on the defensive side, that's going to be where it is. You can just tell. Because that's where the energy gets this team going. It has for the past 2 years. It's not when we start shooting 30s in a row, you know? Like, that's not how it's going to get done. It's going to get done getting stops, getting turnovers, and getting points off of those. That's where we tick up a notch and go, all right, let's play this game. And I think we can still do that. And I'm not saying in week 2 you're disappointing. What I'm saying is you could have been better. And right now you're not. And Monday is a really important game against the Pelicans. You got Cleveland on Wednesday. That's going to be a tough matchup. I mean, they're probably going to play you tight. And I like Cleveland better than New York. So to lose to them, you know, there's no shame in that. Just show the world you have something to play for right now. And you're not just going to roll over for the rest of the season. And then we're back to play Philly on Friday on Halloween. And I think you can beat Philly on any given night, but they can beat you on any given night. And then you got the Rockets. The Rockets on Saturday. It's a tough week. You know, Cleveland, Philly, and the Rockets are probably going to bring it to you. So get out of this slump. Start playing tight. I think you can get guys to step up. Whether that's the rookie, whether that's Pritchard, Simons, Teoh on any given night, but it starts with the 2 at the top with Jaylen Brown and Derek White. So that's kind of my analysis of the week. Let me know what you guys are thinking. From what I hear, it's mostly been negative thoughts of, oh wow, we suck. I just get text messages during these games of, oh wow, we're actually pretty bad. And yeah, it looked like that. It was, we're going to suck the rest of the season. That's what it looked like. I don't think that's what it is, but it definitely looked like that. I don't want to keep looking like that. I want more text like that. I want to be hopeful and faithful in the team, and I think we can get it done. Let's not go 0-7. Let's don't live up to those kind of thoughts. Scratch out the Pelicans. You can definitely get that win. You know, let's see. If we can go 2-2, I'll be happy. Even though that'll put us at 2-5. It puts us in a couple of wins, so we'll go from there. I'm sure most of you guys don't want to hear about Celtics stuff. You're here for the fun stuff. You know, the degeneracy. If you didn't hear about it, to all my faithful fans, NBA players, some of them anyway, are just like me and you, where even though they make millions of dollars, they also want to throw those millions of dollars on parlays to get even more fucking money. I mean, Terry Rozier, what are you doing? You make so much money. You make more money than you should. Why are you throwing it away? Why are you cheating the system, you bum? So if you didn't hear, the NBA is currently in a gambling scandal. Adam Silver completely thrown off his game. Terrible commissioner. I used to love Adam Silver. 3 years ago, I was a huge Adam Silver fan. I would have took him over any of the other major 4 commissioners. And right now, he may be the worst one. I think the ideas he's had in the last 2 years have been crap. Outside the NBA Cup, I think the NBA Cup's been a good idea. All the social media and the TV rights deals he's been doing, he's a bum. He's bum of the week. He's getting on my nerves. And to know nothing about this coming up from the FBI, to give you the short story, the FBI has been running an investigation for what I think has been over a year, but for a while. They looked into players gambling on themselves, affecting games. And the third leg of this is certain characters, mainly Chauncey Billups, the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, was working in cahoots with the Italian mob, the Italian mafia, some of their families. I think it was Gambino, Lucchese, and I forget the third one. Basically hosting poker games where either the dealers or members of the players were cheating on behalf of the people organized. They're investigating more into this, but right now the main subject of that is Chauncey Billups, him and Terry Rozier, who got caught blowing games, placing bets on himself through a third party, whether that's family members. I never got a clear answer on that, but he was throwing games, he was throwing his own stat lines, and recouping millions of dollars from that. He would... There is one instance that they pointed to from 2023 where he checked into a game and he faked a leg injury about 4 minutes into it, told a bunch of people, bet the under, and he was receiving payments of $300,000 for that specific game. But I remember watching Terry Rozier back in like 2018, and I always liked Scary Terry, but my God, when he played, I forget if it was the Cavs that sent us home that year. I think it was the Cavs. We got to Game 7 with the Cavs. Terry Rozier is on a tear that year. He is shooting lights out from the three-point line. We get to Game 7, and this guy goes 0 for 10 from the three-point line, and we lose, and we get sent home. I remember watching that game thinking, is this guy throwing the game? It's one to have a bad shooting night. Man, his shot making that night was criminal. Admittedly, it might have been, literally speaking, but to see all this come out, I wasn't shocked at all. People have been saying, I mean, he's been under investigation for about a year, but I don't think people realized it went this deep, not even just with him, but with the other members of the NBA. I heard Malik Beasley had been investigated. He didn't get arrested during this sting operation, but it was just Chauncey and Terry were the two big ones, and Damon, I forget his last name. Those were the three current NBA members, whether player or coaches, that got arrested Friday. But it sounds like there's going to be more. Stephen A. Smith said on First Take, part of this was retribution from Donald Trump, President Trump, because of the way the NBA had treated his administration vocally, I guess. Is there some truth to that? Very well could be. I wouldn't put it above the guy to have a vendetta against guys that shit talk him and don't really give him good graces in public. And the NBA, for sure, never really has. They've always been more of, favored against his policies, I would say. Not so much the NBA as an organization, but many players have been outspoken. He could, for sure, hold a vendetta against the NBA, have Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, look into these guys specifically and say, take names, take people in. Could that have been it? Sure. But that being said, it is possible that this is just time to have this investigation. The way gambling has become so ingrained with talk shows and the games itself and our daily lives, it's so easy to sign up if you're in a legally gambling state. You know, Massachusetts is, Maine is, a lot of New England states are, a lot of states around the country are. I think it's 30 and up, so more than half the country can now legally gamble. It has become so ingrained in just daily life. So much so to say that this wasn't shocking to most people. Every time you turn on ESPN or Fox Sports, they're brought to you by FanDuel, DraftKings, whatever the other ones are, Doghouse, or whatever the one Bill Belichick did those stupid commercials for, Yard Dog or whatever they were called. God, I can't think of it. But to see that the players were involved in this is not shocking. Wasn't shocking to the audience. And that, I think, is the big thing to take away from this, is that we saw this coming. It eventually was going to come out. It's whether or not they just get investigated. FBI looked into it, and they found him. They found two guys. One of the storylines coming from this is Terry Rozier, you would hope, is not stupid enough, making $30 million a year. $30 million he shouldn't be making because he's not that good, but Miami wanted to pay him a bag. $30 million, you wouldn't think he'd be stupid enough to just add on to it. Like, do endorsement deals. Don't throw a game where that is the like number one sin you can commit playing the game, is gambling on yourself and throwing a game and not putting your all, right? Like that's, people look at that and like, you're just trash. So the storyline is, the reason he's doing this is because he's in debt to the mob, the mafia, in some way. Whether that means he was gambling with them, you never know, because that's just a theory. That's why he gets involved in this big ruse, is to make money back for them. They kind of have his jock strap, and they kind of force him to do this. So that's like one thought I've heard. I definitely could see that happening. It's happened before. For those that aren't familiar, BC college students, the reason you can't bet on a college team that plays in the state you're betting in. So for Massachusetts, it would be, Boston College, BU, any hockey games, any basketball games. You can't bet on any in-state college because back in the 80s, BC college basketball guys were getting, I don't know if it was threats or they were just involved in the organized crime families. They were throwing games for them. And that's the reason why you can't, to this day, bet on a college team in your state. So there's a track record of it. You would hope Terry's not an idiot, but he also just could be. He very well just could be an idiot. There's that. And I think it's going to get worse. I think they're going to take more people in. Adam Silver is going to have to go in front of, I don't know if it's the Justice Department or it's like a commission that hears him out. I don't know what it is, but he's going to speak in some degree to the federal government about this. Do they look into football and those? Basketball is kind of the big one because there's no other sport where one individual player can dramatically affect the game like basketball. I mean, not only are the individual bets commonplace, I should say, where, in football, for a quarterback to get 200 yards, he's got to throw 200 yards, but the wide receivers also have to catch. So that's two moving parts. And in reality, that's more than two because the cornerback's playing defense and all that. Where basketball, if you just have to score points, yes, obviously you're playing on a team, but that individual bet in itself is mostly compromised by the player, not by other people. So basketball is the most affected, I think, by the individual. And they looked at him first. They took in two guys. I think they're going to take in more. I don't think it's done. You guys tell me what you think. Do you think there's going to be more of an investigation? I think if they're kind of going down this route of it was a vendetta call by the administration, I don't think from that they would take in more people. I think Adam Silver gets the idea, the players have got the idea. But if not, and they really are just digging deep now, it wouldn't shock me to find out there's 40 other players doing this. Probably going to find out in the next couple of weeks. I mean, those arrests happened on Friday, and it's Sunday right now. If you told, if I post this and within the week a bunch more got taken in, whether that's players, coaches, you never know. Steve Ballmer, owner of the Clippers, was having a private company fund his players' contract. Kawhi Leonard and some tree company. So it wouldn't surprise me if owners or organizations were involved to say like, hey, take a dive. It would be weird, but wouldn't shock me. And I don't think it would shock any of you guys. So that's the big storyline in the NBA right now, is this gambling issue. I know the players get a talk every year about don't gamble on yourself. Don't gamble in general is, I think, the message that's pushed out to them. Do not gamble in general. I don't think when they're at the facility or a hotel or another like team's facility, any NBA related facility, they can't gamble, I think is the rule. So that's only like on your own private time you can gamble, and it obviously can't be within the sport of the NBA. Even if it's not a game you're playing, I don't think you can bet on the NBA. But you can bet on football. People are addicts, and everybody gambles. I mean, I gamble. I don't think I'm an addict. Very small denominations. And for these guys who make millions of dollars, something equivalent would be like, I don't know, like $1,000 or maybe even 10,000. Like that's similar to the $5 I put down. Very well could be. So they might be doing it as nonchalantly as I do it and think nothing's wrong. But for me personally, if you're a pro athlete making millions of dollars, stay away from gambling. Stay away from sports betting. If you want to go to the casino, ethically, I don't see anything wrong with that. You can gamble your money. Sports betting, you're just so close to the product. It's just not a good idea ever. Even if it's not your sport. You got a buddy, you never know. Jason Tatum could be friends with Drake May and say, hey, throw under 200 yards for me, and I'm going to make $1 million, and that'd be really cool of you. It could be something as stupid as that. And you never know, people could do it. Humans are simple creatures in the end, so I did promise some people I would talk about Drake May in this Celtics basketball podcast. Don't gamble, but maybe gamble on Drake May. Cool guy, really cool guy. Breaking Tom Brady records and Patrick Mahomes records. So watch out for Drake May. And maybe gamble on him, but also don't gamble because it's bad. But I would gamble on him. Maybe go with the over on passing yards. And I don't think QBR is a stat you can gamble on, but if you could, I would gamble on Drake May, but also don't gamble. What do you guys think, though? Do you think there's going to be more rest? I want to hear from you. Do you think this is kind of it? Do you think it was enough done? Do you want to see less gambling in sports? I hate First Take and those shows, your cable news. If you want to show, parlays that, they got Stephen A's picks and all that. You want to show that? You're a private company. You're a cable news television show. Be my guest. When the NBC and the CBS national broadcast is showing me the fucking money line, get that out of my face. I hate seeing that. When NBC Sports Boston, you're the local Celtics broadcast and you're showing me Jaylen Brown over-unders, get that out of my face. I don't want to see that. I know I'm a degenerate piece of garbage for gambling on it. I don't need the normal professionals who I see 3 nights a week to throw it back at me and say, your bet was actually crappy because I'm a genius. I watch this team all the time and I know how to bet. God, I don't want to see that. I just want you to talk about the game. Please, don't show me that. That's the kind of stuff I can't stand. But maybe there's a lesson to learn in all these indictments. We got to cut it back with the gambling. The commissioners, the TV networks, and us as people, we all need to cut it back. I think we've hit a peak normalcy that we should have never reached. And I think we need to, just a little bit. Very scary world we're entering. It's scary because of the gambling. It's scary because the Celtics have no energy. And it's scary because Drake May is a force to be reckoned with. Those are the 3 things this week I want to leave you with. Let's go back to the schedule. Let's wrap it up for you guys. Like I said, Monday, today, depending on when you see this, Pelicans. Wednesday, Cavaliers. Friday, you got the first NBA Cup. I think that one's in Philadelphia. And on Saturday, you got the Rockets. Go 2-2. Tell me what you think we're going to go, but I hope we go 2-2. And that's not even that good. We'll be 2-5. But you know what? I'll take it. Jaylen Brown, I better see some stuff out of you. Derek White, I better see some stuff out of you. And then maybe somebody else. Queta, Gonzalez, Boucher, Simon, somebody. Anybody, please. Drake May, throw Drake May on the court or something. I don't know. But we can look all the negative stuff that happened this week and turn around and become positive from it. So I'm going to choose to become positive from it. You guys, hope you had a good listen. Hope this was entertaining. Thanks for coming back for the second episode. And I hope you're back next week for the third one. Because just because the season's shitty doesn't mean you can't laugh at whatever it is I'm talking about. So thank you guys for coming around. And I'll see you again next week. Peace.